While the Trans Am was around before the 80s, it was during this era that Pontiac engineers came up with a 301 turbo engine. It was a roaring 4.9-liter V8 that was capable of producing 210 horsepower. It led to an acceleration from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 8 seconds and a top speed of 116 miles per hour. The Mondial is one of the most unpopular Ferraris in history. It most certainly looks the part with exciting styling and brilliant pop-up headlamps. However, it doesn't perform or handle anything like a Ferrari. Many hot hatches of the era could outperform it. This is one performance car from the 80s that is best forgotten. Fans of mid-engine sports car may remember the Fiero from the 80s, but you wouldn't expect others to. It was a car that was so different from the traditional American performance car. At the heart was a 2.8-liter V6, yet they went wrong with a 4-speed gearbox. It definitely did have potential too. The Gemballa Avalanche is a bespoke design 911 that was available for a mind-boggling $500,000 in 1986. It's that car that brought a lot of attention to Gemballa. The car had a tuned engine that would produce a blazing 375 horsepower. It could easily outpace any 911. The 305 is often forgotten because of its reputation for being one of the worst Corvettes of all time. Due to California's strict emissions requirement, the 350 cubic inch V8 went to 305. It was only producing 180 horsepower from a 5-liter engine. It looked the part, however, you were going nowhere fast in this particular Corvette. The XT name now is synonymous with the Forester lineup, however, it once belonged to a futuristic-looking coupe from the 80s. It was the most aerodynamic production car in the world when it came out. Powering it was a punchy little 1.8-liter turbo engine capable of producing 134 horsepower. It's hard to believe that Lamborghini could release a forgettable car, but many people completely overlook the Jalpa. Lamborghini put in a 3.5-liter V8 engine capable of producing 255 horsepower. The car could do from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 6 seconds flat and had a top speed of 155 miles per hour. It was the affordable Lamborghini of the 80s. While the Rapid is now a sedan, back in the 80s it was a sports coupe. A pretty terrible sports coupe, but a coupe nonetheless. The performance figures of the car were laughable. In the most powerful variant, you will get a 1.3-liter engine producing 58 horsepower. All that power meant from 0 to 60 miles per hour time of 16.5 seconds. The Fuego is another forgotten performance car from the 80s. It's just a case of not offering anything at all. In its most powerful variant, you would get a turbo, but it was still very slow. From 0 to 60 took more than 10 seconds, and it would eventually reach a top speed of 110 miles per hour. While Ford came out with some great cars in the 80s, the EXP is essentially a failure. It was meant to be sporty, however, it was heavier than the Escort it was based on. The problem was that the engine was still the small 1.6-liter 4-cylinder. With 70 horsepower, the car took its sweet time accelerating. No one remembers the Chrysler TC, and for good reason. Maserati is known for making some of the most brilliant performance vehicles, and the TC is a blemish on their record. It was a big hungering vehicle that wasn't going to go anywhere fast. It's one of the dreariest looking convertibles ever.